Hello, and thank you for choosing We Need to Talk About, your one-stop discussion podcast for all things film and music. I'm Adam Kelly, a broadcast media student at Teesside University. I'm very excited to start this journey with you, so join me and some friends as we go through top 20s, critiques, and deep dives of different films, TV shows, and music. I hope you enjoy this first special two-parter as me and Tom Baldwin, a film and TV student at Teesside University, go through 20 films we think you should see before you die. Thank you. Hello, and welcome to We Need to Talk About, the podcast where we talk all things film and music. Today, I'm joined by Tom Baldwin. Say hello, Tom.
Adam, you told me this was a meet and greet for Robert Eggers, director of Nosferatu. What's we?
Yeah, sorry about that. That's just because I knew you'd say no.
So he's not here?
No.
Right, okay.
Did you really believe I'd be able to get him here? I forgot his name.
You
already.
sent me a photo of you sat with him.
Yeah, I've just got really good with Photoshop recently.
Right, okay.
Well,
That's ruined my day, frankly. But I'll stay here.
Sorry.
I'll stay here.
Oh, I'm glad you'll stay.
As much as I'm annoyed and upset with you right now, I do enjoy your company.
Oh, that's lovely to hear.
Yes.
At least someone does. I don't. So I don't know why you do. Anyway, so today we're going to be discussing 20 films we think you should see before you die. We've both brought in 10 films each, which we either think are important or just films that we really like. And we're going top to bottom, so stick around and find out what we both ranked number one.
Yeah, I just want to point out that my list isn't in any particular order. I couldn't really list my films worst to best or most favourite to least favourite with the 10 I've picked, so these are in no particular order.
It's fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, apart from my number one, it's pretty much the same for me. It's not really in any particular order, it was just the way I wrote it.
Yeah. So if any of you out there say, oh, well, this one's way better than that, yeah, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
It's just...
That's your opinion. Be quiet.
Shush those haters,
This
bro.
isn't our opinions.
No.
These aren't worst to best. We just like these films and think you should see them.
Yeah.
So shut up.
Yeah. Anyway, transition music time. Anyway, so at number 10, I've brought Tick Tick Boom. It was released in 2021, directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's very much well known for his musical theatre stuff, including Hamilton and In the Heights, as well as many other musicals.
He's on the new music for the new Lion King film, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah. That
creepy horror dystopian film.
Yeah, I guess that's the way to put it. What do you say about my brother? That one. No, that was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, ladies and gentlemen. Great song, though. But yeah, and he's also wrote music for other Disney films, such as Moana, Mary Poppins Returns, which he also starred in. So Andrew Garfield is the lead role. He plays Jonathan Larson, who was a musical writer. He wrote the hit musical Rent. So this story is about him turning 30 and feeling like unsatisfied with his life because he doesn't really feel like he's gone anywhere with life yet because none of his musicals have been picked up by anyone, let alone Sondheim or any of the big ones, which is his main big goal, is to be recognised by Sondheim.
Yeah.
And
is this a Spider-Man film? Like, does it?
No.
It's not.
It's not a Spider-Man film. It's not Amazing Spider-Man 3, the musical.
Okay.
I wish it was. That would be great. Although there was a Spider-Man musical on West End.
Was there?
Yeah, it did not go well. There was lots of injuries to do with that. But that can be saved for another episode. But yeah, so it also stars Vanessa Hudgens from High School Musical, as well as many other things, including the 2004 Thunderbirds film. What a film! And
is that on the list?
No.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't a tease for what's coming later.
No, it's not quite a tease. Although I have teased one that is coming up.
Oh, is it Spider-Man?
No. You'll have to stick around and find out which one I've already teased. Yeah, the narrative itself, if, like I said, it follows Jonathan Larson's life throughout his 30s, where he was just very unsatisfied with life. And it's driven through by an amazing soundtrack, which was written by Jonathan Larson himself. Because it was originally a stage play by Jonathan Larson, like a biographical stage play about his life. And then it was adapted by Stephen Levinson. And it's a brilliant adaptation. And I think one thing that helps it be such a good adaptation is it's so grounded. Because I feel like a lot of musical theatre films that have already been stage shows, they kind of rely on being a film too much.
Yeah.
Whereas for me and plenty of other people who enjoy theatre, we enjoy it because it's so practical, and like that's where the magic is, because it's so practical. Whereas like with scenes that I've seen from Wicked, I've not fully seen it yet, but there's a lot of CGI used. And I'm not saying the CGI looks bad, it looks great. But I think just personally, it would take me out of the experience.
Do you not think Wicked would be the exception, since it's a Wizard of Oz film?
Yes,
you saying you want monkeys to be put back in their wingsuits?
No, right, okay.
On the stage on wires.
Apart from animal cruelty, but no, I don't know. It's just there's some things that they could have done a bit more similar to the stage show. Like I saw a scene where Elphaba was falling from a tower during Defying Gravity. And there was a lot of CG used in that, obviously, because they weren't just going to lob...
Is that the good or the
Cynthia,
bad witch?
She's the nasty one. Elphaba, the wicked witch. The green one.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. And that's why I feel like Tick, Tick, Boom is such a good adaptation, because it stays grounded.
Better than Joker 2?
You're going to be shocked at this. I've still not seen it. Yeah, I've still not seen Joker Folia giving its full legal name.
Folia Doo-Doo.
Folia Doo-Doo, yes. I have heard. But yeah, do you have any questions about...
I asked my question, really. The only thing that really stood out was Andrew Garfield and a Disney production. I was like, he's got to put...
This one isn't actually a Disney production, because this is on Netflix, Tick, Tick, Boom. I just realised I didn't actually fully talk about the narrative. So yeah, it like follows him through his life and the ups and downs throughout his life, his jobs, his friends, his lovers, and then it ends when his musical that he's writing throughout the film gets picked up by Stephen Sondheim, and I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
No, I think that was pretty correct.
I think it's right.
That sounded right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I possibly said it wrong earlier. But yeah, and then it kind of cuts to photos of Jonathan Larson himself in real life, because unfortunately he died the night before his biggest musical, Rent, had its first show. So he never actually saw his career blow up.
Right. And is Rent the musical he's writing throughout the film?
No. So it's a different musical. So in the film, I can't remember the name of the musical he's writing, but he's writing this kind of like sci-fi-esque musical.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why no one wants to pick it up, really, is because like they're a bit sci-fi musical, really. But Stephen Sondheim saw potential in it.
So, I guess we'll move on to mine now.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to start off easy viewing, pretty much. I'm just going to go straight in. Who doesn't love action films? Okay.
Me.
You don't love action films?
Well, some.
Okay.
As long as they're good.
This one's good.
Okay.
So, to me, this is like the quintessential action film. Okay, it's got everything. It's got incredible visuals, incredible stunts. There isn't a frame in this film where any of the details have been like discarded or not thought about in incredible detail. It's a beautiful film. The CGI is, when it's used perfectly, unlike its successor. But everything in this film is just, it's at 11 constantly. Yeah. And the reason why this action is so incredible is because the film itself is just one long continuous action scene that never lets up. It's just one long car chase. I am of course talking, if you haven't figured it out already, about the film from director George Miller, director of Happy Feet, Mad Max Fury Road. It is spectacular. I can't praise it as an action film enough. I think the latest Mad Max films come out to time of recording, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is it's a really good film, but it, as an action film, it stands absolutely nowhere near to this. Even in its finer details, like just visually, it doesn't look anywhere near this good. This film has a level of polish that's unseen in most big budgeted films. So it truly is. You put it on, you're in there. If you don't know, the film doesn't really revolve around Max. He's just like a side character that's going on this journey with Charlize Theron and these
Max of the Madness.
Yeah, it is a little madness guy. Madness Max.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's a little crazy.
Yeah. It's
goofy.
it's not Mel Gibson, right. So it's not crazy.
Okay.
It's Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy apparently didn't enjoy making this. He had a bad time.
Oh.
And he lost his shit at Charlize Theron. So he was going crazy, but not Mel Gibson crazy.
No, okay.
Okay. So, that's my number 10. Check it out if you have time. It's not a terribly long film, and the pacing, it flies by because it's just so tense and action-packed constantly. It's a sit-down watch experience. Yeah. Turn the lights off. Get cozy.
If you insist.
Get an energy drink. Start screaming at the TV.
So obviously you said about Tom Hardy being Max. Is there any other big actors that star?
Charlize Theron. Nicholas Hoult is in it. Is one of his earlier roles. Zoe Kravitz, who would later play Catwoman in The Batman with Robert Pattinson.
That's a great film as well.
Fantastic film.
Not on my list.
Not on my list. What is next on your list, Adam?
So in 9, I have Monsters Inc. Amazing.
Do you want to explain further why a grown adult is putting Monsters Inc. as a top film you have to see?
It's Monsters Inc.
I agree, it's a good film, but I haven't seen it since I was single digits age.
Fair enough. It's one that I watch all the time.
Okay.
It is very much a comfort film to me.
Mike Wazowski.
Always watching.
I will sing his praises as for a second. What's his name?
Billy Crystal?
Not Mel.
Oh, the guy that voices Roz.
No.
No?
The guy that voices Sully.
John Goodman.
John Goodman. Fantastic actor, fantastic performance. I can see him being a big blue monster.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, it's directed by Pete Docter, who also directed Up and Inside Out, which are another two of my favourite Disney films.
Is he a doctor? Is it Pete Doctor MD?
No, it's not spelled the same either. It's spelled ER, not OR. Last time I watched Up was over the summer when I was back at home. Sobbed throughout the entire film.
Now, do you think you've put Monsters Inc. on here because Up is... You have to know what you're going in for Up, whereas you can just sit down and watch Monsters Inc. at any time?
Yeah. Up's probably my second favourite Disney film. But I think Monsters Inc., is just a lot easier to just chill out, just watch, and just relax.
Do you want to go through the plot? Can you remember the plot?
Yeah, so basically you have Mike, who is voiced by Billy Crystal. Mike Wazowski. And then you have John Goodman's character, Sully. And they both work in a scream factory together. So they go into children's bedrooms at night and scare them, wake them up and scream. But there's been a scream shortage in the city, and the scream's what powers the city. So because there's a scream shortage, there's lots of power outages, people aren't happy. And then one day, Sully goes to file Mike's paperwork for him and notices that there's a door left over after hours. So someone's being a naughty, and that's Randall, who's voiced by Steve Buscemi. Great actor, love him. How do you do, fellow kids?
It's kind of a Big Lebowski reunion.
It is really. A bit, yeah. And did you say that because you may have it coming up?
No, it's just it's just a film that came to my head that has both of those people in it, which came out not too long before Monsters Inc.
Yeah. So after Sully goes into the door that's been left over, he realizes that the little girls followed him back out, which is important to the plot because they believe that human children, are toxic, and if one touches you, you'll die. But with this human, Boo, who was voiced by one of the producer's daughters, she kind of shows Sully that humans aren't that bad and they're not dangerous to monsters at all. But other monsters don't know that, and Boo escapes and causes havoc in a restaurant. And there's sushi flying everywhere.
See, I can't even remember this.
Yeah, so I
know she gets out of her room and Sully and Mike Wazowski take her with them and try and look after her, but I don't remember all the intricate details.
So they go into a restaurant called Harryhausen's. Like I said, I love this film. I know. I watch it multiple times a year.
I appreciate that little detail.
And yes, there's sushi flying everywhere, and the police are called in, and it's just all wild and manic. And then Mike and Sully take Boo back to their house and have to hide in their house, so the police don't find them. But then, at one point, Boo starts laughing because Mike trips over and falls into a bin, and loads of books land in his mouth, and he gets hurt. And Boo finds that absolutely hilarious, so she bursts out laughing, and because, like I said, children's screams power the city, because children's laughter is about the same frequency, it made everything in their apartment block just shortcut because the amount of power that it was getting. So yeah, and then throughout the rest of the film, they find out that it was Randall who put the door there in the first place. Randall's the bad guy, like I said, voiced by Steve Buscemi. And they find out that he was actually ordered by the owner of the Scream Factory Mr. Waternoose. It could let in a child, man. The late great James Coburn voiced Mr. Waternoose, who ordered Randall to kidnap Boo so they could get unlimited scream energy, so the scream shortage would end. Obviously, Mike and Sully aren't happy with that idea. They try to confront Mr. Waternoose about it, and they get thrown to the North Pole with the abominable snowman who loves to make lemon snow cones and gets very sad when Mike throws those snow cones at Sully because Sully decides he's going to walk off to get back to the factory because Mike doesn't want to. But then, at the end of the film, after all that, they make it back to the Scream Factory. Mr. Waternoose has been uncovered at that point, so the authorities are made aware of what happens, and it turns out that Ross was actually an informant for the authorities on the inside because they had a feeling something iffy was going on in the Scream Factory. And then Mike and Sully own the Scream Factory and turn it into a laughter factory instead. But yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have some fun facts about the film.
Oh, what trivia?
Yeah. So because technology wasn't advanced enough back then in 2002, 2001, 2002, that kind of time.
Yeah.
Pixar had to develop a new program called FIZT, F-I-Z-T, to automate the movement of Sully's fur. Which I didn't actually know that until I was researching for this episode. I just found it quite fascinating that they went out their own way to create this new thing.
Yeah.
To make it look that good.
It's not the first time.
It's not the first time, and it's not the last time it's happened either.
No.
And also, this does not happen a lot in animation, but John Goodman and Billy Crystal actually recorded their lines together. They were both in the same room as they were recording, which, like I said, really does not happen in animation. Because if you look at any of the behind the scenes of any other animations, it's always one person in a recording booth.
Yeah.
Recording their lines.
That's a good point. I guess it's my turn for number 9.
Yeah, so what's your number 9, Tom?
Well, sticking with action, but also more in the same kind of vein as Monsters Inc. I've gone with Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2.
Very much similar to Monsters Inc.
Yeah, from obviously profound director Quentin Tarantino.
The racist footman.
Yes. He may be racist, and he may have a foot fetish.
He does say racial slurs and likes to suck a lot of toes in his films. Well,
he only sucks toes in one of his films, and that's not even the film he directed.
True.
That's a film he wrote. But Kill Bill isn't that film.
No.
To be fair, I don't think Kill Bill, although Kill Bill does have feet in it.
Yeah. Well, I should hope they are all human.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope they're not just hovering with no feet. That would be quite creepy.
No, the actors in Kill Bill all have feet, prosthetic or not. I'm not sure. Uma Thurman's feet look real.
I think Uma Thurman's are real.
Yeah, Tarantino is or has been the most famous director of the past 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Whenever one of his films come out, there's always a big commotion because it's always he's only going to make 10, and all of them bar one. I haven't seen Hateful Eight or Jackie Brown, but there's only been one I've seen so far, which I still enjoyed, but I can understand why a lot of people wouldn't enjoy it, and that's Death Proof. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Kill Bill.
Yeah.
And if any of you out there say, well, that's 2 films, shut up.
Yeah.
They were filmed together.
Let's be real.
They were filmed together, and they were originally supposed to be one film. A producer told him to split the films into 2 and keep them as the full runtime so that he wouldn't have to cut anything out. Also to make more money. But I'm very glad that they were 2 films because the amount of detail in each one is absurd. If you actually stopped and broke down all the little hidden things in the film, there's so many homages to so many other films. Most of the films he pays homage to are like classic B-movie films, which nobody's like even ever heard of.
Yeah.
But Tarantino being the
I
movie
have
nerd
heard of the
he
B
is.
movie. By all known laws of aviation, a B.
You like jazz?
You like jazz?
But yeah, there's so many homages to so many other films. You'd kind of think that it'd be an incoherent story, but it's woven into the story of the film so naturally that you don't even like notice most of them.
Yeah.
And the film itself, again, is quite beautiful. Visually, it's one of Tarantino's best looking films. I'd say it's Tarantino's best action. It seems that it is a homage to classic 80s action films. The attention to detail in the fight scenes, the standout one being near the end of the first film when she's confronting Oren and she has to fight like 50 Yakuza members off just by herself. Like, the cinematography and just everything that went into that scene was incredible for what it is. So, yes, that is another action film that pays homage to older action films.
Yeah.
That's why I think you should see that one.
Yeah. Well, those two.
There is a version of it which is both films put together.
How long is that version?
I believe it's about 4.5 hours.
So longer than any of the Lord of the Rings extended cuts.
Okay, so what is your number 8?
So my number 8 is Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a biographical musical drama, as Tick Tick Boom is. But this one's about Elton John.
A man that turns into a rocket.
Funny enough, in one point of the film, jets do come out the bottom of his shoes.
Ooh, rocket shoes.
Yeah.
Why is the film not called Rocket Shoes?
I don't know. Mainly because one of Elton John's biggest songs is Rocket Man and not Rocket Shoes.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was directed by Dexter Fletcher. He directed Eddie the Eagle, the movie, which also starred Taron Egerton as the lead role of a biopic.
Yeah.
So as you can guess from what I just said, Taron Egerton plays Elton John in this. But he wasn't the first choice. So the first choice was actually Tom Hardy. Yeah.
Now, where did you get that source from?
It was online.
That seems...
But no, yeah. So it was originally meant to be Tom Hardy playing Elton John, but his schedule was full.
I don't think that would have worked. As much as I like Tom Hardy.
Yeah, no, same.
Yeah, I can't see any resemblance between him. At least Taron Egerton has that kind of... He has his shape. If you remember what Elton John looked like in the 80s, because both me and you were alive
so
in the
there.
80s.
Yes.
And 70s, to be fair. I remember when Elton dropped the Yellow Brick Road album. What's it called?
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Goodbye Yellow Brick. I remember when he dropped that. I was in the booth with him. I was like, Elton, this is crazy, mate. You gotta go wild.
I was the one that funded it.
Yeah. Taron has that kind of, the frame of him.
He does.
He doesn't look exactly like him, but,
but
he has a similar build, whereas Tom Hardy...
Similar build and similar face shape as well.
Tom Hardy would have had to lose a lot of mass
bulk,
to play him. Which wouldn't have been healthy, seems he would have finished it and then gone to Venom 2.
Yeah.
Or was Venom 2 why he couldn't do it?
I think Venom 2 might have been why he couldn't do it, yeah.
Okay.
But obviously Elton John and Taron Egerton have worked together before.
Yes.
They were both on the Kingsman Golden Circle.
Yes.
Brilliant film.
It's not as good as the first one. I think the film shines when Elton's in it because it's not taking itself seriously.
So so it just follows through Elton John's life into stardom and his trials and tribulations with it. It discusses some delicate themes really well, which include homophobia, both internalized homophobia and systemic homophobia. There's a lot of drug abuse, addiction, and suicide attempts in it, and it's very beautiful in the way that it shows it because it doesn't really hold any punches with it. it just shows it how it is and how it was.
Rocket Man.
But nah, it's just a really good film. It also shows Elton John's lavender marriage to Renate Blauel. I believe that's how you pronounce that name, but it's probably wrong. So if you don't know what a lavender wedding is, it's when a homosexual person goes into a heterosexual marriage to get rid of any rumours that they're not heterosexual. As obviously in the 80s there was a lot of homophobia, especially with the government, how homophobic they were in the 80s. But also, so Bernie Taupin, who is Elton John's writer and has been throughout his whole career, they've had a couple of spats, and there's been a couple of albums by Elton that weren't wrote by Bernie.
Yeah, how many people do you think actually realise and know that Elton John doesn't really write his own stuff?
I don't think many people do, because I didn't before watching Rocket Man. I always thought Elton wrote his own stuff, but it's always been Bernie.
Yeah.
And Bernie is from Sleaford, which is the same place that I'm from. So you'd expect like a similar accent. But for some reason, Jamie Bell plays him with a Northern Irish accent in the film.
So, do you have anything else to say about Rocket Man, or?
All the songs in the film are great songs.
Well, I'm guessing all the songs in the film are Elton John songs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a jukebox musical. For those of you who aren't aware, a jukebox musical is a musical where they take songs that already exist in the real world and put them in the context of a musical.
So Rocket Man's even closer to Joker 2 Folie à Deux than your previous musicals mentioned.
Yes.
Okay.
It's also like how Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of like loads of ABBA songs. That's a jukebox musical. So anyway, should we get on to your number 8 now?
Yeah, we can go for it. So if you've been paying attention, my last 2 films were action films. So this film is also an action film, but it's not.
But it's not.
Let me break this down
Okay.
for you simple-minded folk out there.
Break it down, boy.
I'm breaking it down. Okay, so this film may appear like an action film on the face of it, and the franchise that it spawned may have been an action-orientated franchise. But this film is a horror film.
Okay.
It's a slasher.
Ooh.
Okay, it's your Michael Myers. It's your Jason Voorhees. It's an
Sexy
unstoppable threat chasing people down. They can't destroy it. They can't kill it. They don't know what to do. They just got to run. Okay, it's a true slasher in its core. Directed by multiple divorces man James Cameron, it is the original Terminator, also known as The Terminator. This film, I mean, it started a genre. Okay. It didn't kickstart Arnold's career. He'd been in films before this, but this is the film that truly put him on the map.
It made him like a proper household name.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. This guy, in the right role, and because people say he's not a great actor, and I think he can be. It's just depending on the role. Like he's good in Predator, but this is by far his standout performance.
He's good.
He's not much talking, and his physical movements to actually like make himself look like a robot, especially when you consider when this film came out, are just incredible.
Yeah,
and it started James Cameron's career. This was his first own film. He had previously been fired of Piranha 2. Before this, because he's James Cameron and he was taking too long.
Right,
the studio just wanted him gone because Piranha 2 is obviously it's a low budget film. That's a let's get this done and out the door and make our money, which is not James Cameron.
No. See, I never knew that Terminator was a James Cameron film.
Didn't you?
I didn't know that. No.
Wow. Yeah, it was his first major film.
One, yeah.
Yeah. It's also the film that started his relationship with Stan Winston.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the film, all the effects pretty much throughout the film are all Stan Winston, and the attention to detail in all like the mechanical robot parts are just fantabulous.
Fantabulous. Fantabulous. I love that word.
Fantastic.
Fantabulous. I love that word.
Damn it.
We're sticking with fantabulous.
Oh, God. Oh, but the premise of the film, you might not know this, actually came to Cameron in a dream. He was ill one night, and he just had this nightmare of this metal skeleton rising from the fire. So he started there and then worked backwards to make a film around that.
Yeah.
If you want some more trivia, the Terminator was originally supposed to be Lance Hendrickson, because he would look more like an infiltrator, but then he met with Arnold and they got talking. It was like, Arnold is pretty much the best fit for this character. So they built it up.
Yeah.
Cameron designed the entire Terminator and all the little parts. And he basically told Stan Winston how to build it, pretty much. And so they built a full model of it, and they used different parts of the model for different shots. And whenever it's live action, Terminators never look better than this. To clarify, this first film, I think, had a budget of about $6 million. Terminator 2, when it came out, was the most expensive film ever made, and it cost $100 million when it came out. So yeah, definitely recommend The Terminator. Fantastic film. Great acting by Linda Hamilton, who would later become one of James Cameron's wives and divorces. And Michael Biehn, who didn't get married and divorced to James Cameron.
Who does not play Mr. Bean.
Yes, that's right. Michael Biehn is not Mr. Bean.
No,
that's Rowan Atkinson, star of Johnny English.
And that segues me into my number 7.
Why is Rowan Atkinson in Fantastic Mr. Fox?
No.
Okay.
But Rowan Atkinson is Mr. Bean.
Okay.
Mr. Bean's Holiday has Willem Dafoe in it.
Well, I'm following.
Willem Dafoe is in Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Okay.
He plays the rat.
So we got there.
We got there. It's a segue. It kind of works as a segue.
No, it's a great segue.
Yeah.
There's not many people out there that could just like that come up with a segue.
Exactly.
That, get from one film to the other. Yeah. But
Brilliant segue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Adam, what's Mr. Fox?
Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Yes.
So it's a 2009 film directed by Wes Anderson, who is one of my favourite directors.
Okay.
Anyway, because he has so many amazing films. But I couldn't include them, because otherwise it will be a whole list of Wes Anderson and another director who's going to be coming up shortly. So it stars George Clooney and Meryl Streep as Fantastic Mr. Fox and Mrs. Fox, respectively.
I've seen a couple of Wes Anderson's films, and I do have to give it to him. They are incredibly intricate and highly detailed. Everything is very precise in them. It drives me a little crazy.
See, I think that's why I like it.
I don't think I could do a marathon of his films. I think I could do one a month max if I was going to watch them. Obviously, this one's animated. Now, is it like claymation or stick figures? Is it stop motion or?
It's more of a stop motion style of thing, but it's got a very unique look to it.
Yeah,
it's got a very just Wes Anderson look to it. Because he has his own visual style of filmmaking. And the only other film that really has the same kind of animation style is another Wes Anderson film, Isle of Dogs.
Yes, that film's got Bryan Cranston.
It
from
does.
Godzilla 2014 in it. Yes, what is the story of Fantastic Mr. Fox, Adam?
So, with Fantastic Mr. Fox, it follows the story of Mr. Fox as he wants to get more excitement in his life, because previously he'd break into farms owned by 3 farmers, Boggis, Bunt and Bean. One fat, one short, one lean. These horrible crooks, all different in looks, but nonetheless equally mean. And he'd steal their chickens, their apples, their apple cider, anything he could get his hands on. But one night, he got caught. Him and his wife both got caught. And that's the night that his wife told him that she was pregnant. So when they started the little family, he decided to step away from the life as a thief and start a normal career.
Clean his act up.
He does. So he starts writing a column in a paper. That he just kind of finds that really tedious, that way of life. And he just wants something. He's craving something. So he goes for one last big mission in the farms to steal more stuff. And obviously the farmers realise what he's doing. And they, again, try to go out to trap him. But this time, they're not just out to trap him, they're out to kill him. So they go through many different stages of trying to do this. The first one is they just hide in some bushes near his tree, because he lives in a tree, well, underneath the tree, and wait for him to come out, and they all just shoot at him. And they end up shooting off his tail at that point. But obviously they're not satisfied with just that, because he's still alive. He can still go back and steal more stuff. So next they all order massive diggers and dig up the tree. So Mr. Fox has to bury himself down into the ground. And this just kind of carries on for a little while. But this puts all of the underground animals in danger. All the animals that burrow underground to live. So they all have to live in like a full-out shelter kind of place. And everyone hates Mr. Fox. Until they start a revolution against the farmers and win. And then everyone loves Mr. Fox because he brought them loads of food, and then he found that where their bunker was right next to a grocery store. So they had unlimited supplies after that. So everyone was happy. So it was nominated for 2 Oscars.
Yeah.
Best Animated Feature Film, which it lost out to From Up, which did talk about earlier on.
Yeah,
I
we
still
did
love
mention it.
Up. But I don't know, I think because of like how different the animation style is in Fantastic Mr. Fox, I think it did deserve it a bit more than Up did. It just looks a lot more unique. It was also nominated for Best Original Score, which was provided by Alexander Desplat.
Mm-hmm.
Great composer. He's done a lot of Wes Anderson films.
Yeah, so the last film I picked was a horror film which disguised itself as an action film. This time I'm going with a horror film which has disguised itself as a comedy film.
Okay.
So it's from the director of Darkman, Sam Raimi. The film is Evil Dead 2.
Right.
You don't need to see the first one to go straight into this if you don't want to. I understand these were very low budget 80s B horror films. The first one I still think holds up a little bit, especially with the budget that it had. If you take that into account, I think it holds up. But again, this was the start of Sam Raimi's career. Pretty much everyone in the film, they were all just like school friends that just made films together. And then I'm fairly sure the first one took like 2 years to finish, just to make, because they'd all be doing different stuff, and so they'd have like very limited time to get up and keep making it. But the first one released, it did relatively well. If you want to make a cheap film quick and earn some money of it, you make a horror film because they make money.
And it's easy to do practical effects.
Yeah, so you make a horror film, which they did, and they made a bit of money, and so they thought, well, we'll make a second one. They knew most people hadn't seen the first one for the second one. So the first 10 minutes of the second film is pretty much the entirety of the first film.
Okay.
So it's like a quick recap. And then we get into the second film, which is still a horror film. It still has some great horror effects in it, but it does have a higher budget. And they thought to market it a bit easier so that people wouldn't be as annoyed with them as they were because of the whole satanic panic thing that was going on at the time. They decided to make it a Three Stooges comedy film as well.
Right.
So there's a lot of slapstick humour in the film. Although the whole chainsaw cutting his own hand off part halfway through the film is like mainly remembered as a horror aspect. The way it's filmed is very comedic because his hand becomes possessed. So his hand is like slapping him around and dragging him around on the floor as a very comedic way. And then he's like, I know what to do. And then the horror kicks in and he cuts his hand off. But you don't see anything. You just see the blood come out. But it's very Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
This is when, like, the first film obviously had a lower budget. So it really did feel like Sam just running around with his own camera. But this film, this felt like the birth of Sam Raimi. The camera's spinning around, it's doing crazy stuff.
Obviously, Sam Raimi, who did Spider-Man and... Did he do Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness?
He did do those films, yes. It expands on the universe of the Evil Dead a bit. Obviously, they never thought it would become a big franchise. They knew they thought they'd have one more film after this. If you haven't seen the ending, spoiler alert, Ash, played by Bruce Campbell, fantastic actor. To get rid of the evil, the demonic spirits that are around him, he opens up a time portal and he gets sucked into it and he gets flown back to medieval times. That's how the second film ends. And there is a third film. It's just not called Evil Dead 3. It's called Army of Darkness, which I also feel should be on the list.
Right.
But we stuck to one per director, and I think this is a quintessential Sam Raimi film.
So, on to my number 6. We've got American Psycho.
Whew, classic.
Great film.
Got Batman in it.
Yeah.
You got Green Goblin in it.
Yeah. And you got Morbius in it.
Yeah, Morbid. It is Morbid
time.
It is
Morbid time, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was released in the year 2000. Directed by Mary Harron.
Yeah, I don't think many people realise that. Because they see this film as like being hypersexualized and very masculine. I don't think they realise it was directed by a woman.
Yeah.
It's a satire, really.
It is.
Yeah.
Because the original book was by a gay man as well.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is a satire of straight men in the 80s. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand that because a lot of people, especially a lot of cishet white men, see Patrick Bateman as like the hero of the film and they look up to him. It's the same with The Wolf of Wall Street. Like when they see Jordan Belfort as the hero of the story and really look up to him and want to be like him, it's like, you're not understanding the story of the film here. It's showing this person as a bad guy.
Yeah, these people aren't heroes.
Yeah.
And to be fair to American Psycho, when it gets nearer to the end, even Bateman realises that he's a bad guy and he needs to be locked up.
Yeah, so throughout the film, Patrick Bateman's shown to commit many atrocities, killing many people. A lot of the time it's because he thinks those people are better than him and he wants to be the top of the food chain, the alpha male.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of loops back again to the people who idolise Patrick Bateman are those ones that are like, oh, I'm an alpha male.
So this is on your list because you want more people to watch it and idolise him?
No.
Okay.
This is on my list because I think it's just a very good film.
You want people to watch this and not to idolise him?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want people to watch it with media literacy in mind, that just because he's the main character does not make him a hero.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we go on to your number 6 now, Tom?
My number 6, so I did a horror film which disguised itself as a comedy film last time, if you'll remember. It was about half hour ago. So this time we're just going to go for a comedy film because I feel like comedy films struggle every now and then. You know, because comedy is a very... it relies heavily on perspective, on what different people find funny. Whereas I feel like this film is just a classic. I think if you watch this film and don't laugh, you have no soul. You have you don't find anything funny. Okay, this film is an absolute classic, and I feel one of the weirdest things about this film that I'll get onto in a second is in comedy films, there's especially modern ones, there's a lot of improvising, just seeing what sticks, seeing if it's funny. This film, there's pretty much no. I've forgotten that word again. In this film, there is pretty much no improvisation. Everything is off the script, pretty much. And that's because the people that made it are script writing geniuses. From the writers and directors of Fargo, from the directors of Raising Arizona with Nicolas Cage, comes The Big Lebowski. Now,
is that the bowling one?
Right, okay. This film goes everywhere, so the bowling is a small aspect of it, but everything is a small and big aspect of this film.
Right,
okay? Yeah. So the three friends, you've got Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, who we've already spoke about, is fantastic in this film, and Steve Buscemi is fantastic in this film. I did mention this film earlier.
Yeah.
But you've got the three friends, and they play bowling. Jeff Bridges is the dude. He's the Lebowski, but he ain't the Big Lebowski.
Sorry.
Okay? He's known as the dude. His name's Lebowski, but he's known as the dude.
Sorry.
The amount of just random occurrences that he gets into throughout the film is because the Big Lebowski, the actual Lebowski that the film's named after, his daughter gets kidnapped, and they think that it was the dude has some involvement because his name's also Lebowski, and so he has to go and track down, or he's asked to go and track down this daughter, but the amount of stuff that gets in the way of this is just it's so stupid and hilarious at the same time. But you've got, like I say, it's really the main cast which hold this up, and it's everybody else around it which make it feel just incredible. Shout out Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace. He's in this film. You've got John Turturro from the Transformers films and also Severance. Watch that as a TV show.
So,
he turns up as Jesus, and he's a bowling player as well. But this is when the film feels like a sketch comedy show at times, because he arrives, he's a rival team to our three main characters, and then it cuts to him, and he's apparently he's a sex predator, and he's been beaten up because he's had to go around to different people's homes and tell them that he's a sex predator. And it just cuts to that randomly, and then cuts back to the bowling alley. To say this film's from the 90s, it feels very modern still.
Right, yeah.
One of my favourite parts of the film is just 2 minutes of John Goodman losing his shit and beating the hell out of a Corvette with a crowbar, saying, "This is what happens when you f*** a stranger in the ass." and that seems 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just, but it doesn't last too long. It's not too short. Everything in this film is perfect, and I do think it's down to the Coen brothers, directors of No Country for Old Men. To be fair, if I can think about it, this is one of their only comedy films. I'd say Raising Arizona is a little comedy-esque, but it's more slapstick-ish. Yeah. It's Nicolas Cage that's trying to have a baby with his wife, but then he ends up kidnapping a baby. So it's
right.
It's one of those Home Alone kind of esque-ish movies in silly comedy.
Yeah.
So whereas The Big Lebowski is just spot on all the way through. Great performances. It's weird. It's very unexpected. I just love it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam. We've got to stop now.
We do. Unfortunately, we're being.
It's stop time.
It is stop time.
Everybody, stop what you're doing. Leave the building you're in. Go outside.
Touch grass.
You've got time to do other things now.
Yeah.
Your favourite show has ended.
Yes.
But not for long.
No.
It'll be back.
Because we will be bringing a part 2 of this episode to bring our last
if you were
4
out,
entries.
if you're out there and you're like, they haven't finished. They got 5. They've done 5 films. Yeah, don't worry. We know.
No, we've done 6 films.
We have done 6
We've
films.
done 6 films.
Yes.
And we have 4 left.
We have got 4 left.
Because we have 10 each.
Yes.
Right.
So, yeah, if you were out there and you're like,
They're not
finished. We're going to.
We're going to.
I'm going to.
So, stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it. And
I for one hope you've had a miserable time.
yeah, fair enough. I'm not as horrible. Please follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd at WNTTAP, which is short for We Need to Talk About podcast.
And you can follow me on Instagram at _Tom_Baldwin if you want.
Yep.
I am the movies man.
He is the movies man. He
He
doesn't know anything apart from movies.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a podcast is.
No. You've just been talking the whole time.
We have.
Yeah.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah.
Like sound for a movie?
Yeah, it's like sound for a movie.
Okay.
But these mics, these things here in front of you, these like blue things,
Yeah.
that picks up your voice.
I recognised them. I was just wondering why they weren't on a sound boom being held over us.
The way you said recognise then. Recognise! But anyway, yes. So thank you, Tom. For coming on this first part.
You're very welcome.
It's been a pleasure, and I look
To be
forward to
fair,
recording the second part with you.
I don't know why I'm saying you're welcome, because you tricked me in here.
I
with
did.
Promise of Robert Eggers.
I did promise you Robert Eggers. And I don't apologise.
That's fair. You know what?
Yeah.
I appreciate the balls on you.
I don't apologise.
Yeah.
Because I did it on purpose.
So I feel too many people apologise for shit now.
They do.
But that's a
Especially when they do stuff on
political
purpose.
political talk,
Yes.
and I'm the movies man.
Yes.
Of the podcast.
You're not the politicals man.
Yeah.
Anyway. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome, Adam.
And I look forward to recording with you on the next one.
Me too. This has been a pleasure.
It has been.